Hi, my name is Michael Beck and I'm here today to talk to you about Wentex. We bring into the US market a new line of pipe and drape, and I'd like to go in and show you a little bit about what we're talking about here today. So to my right I have our small, or what we call our front of house kit. Now this is something that you'd use for control booths or when you're doing a AV booth or something on premises. And now inside of this kit we have 60 linear feet of coverage, and that includes all the required uprights, drape supports, bases, and pins, and all the corresponding hardware is inside the case. And also you'll notice that there's a drape compartment here where all the drapes are conveniently packaged, and then that also seats inside of the case itself. It's a very sturdy flight case, hinged, and it's just built for easy transportation of the equipment. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about actually the system itself and show you what sets us apart. So first off, what we have is our telescopic upright. And you'll notice right away that this is black, and we have this powder coated black for theatrical and audiovisual use. And then we also have other options in colors, as far as we have a white for fashion and weddings, and also gray to match your existing inventory. Now what you'll notice about this is what's different is in our system we have a screw tightener that connects to a plastic brake. And the reason we did plastic is to keep that from scratching the actual powder coating of the product, giving you a little bit longer of a lifespan for it. Now, what we'll do is talk a little bit about actually how the system works. Now, if you look here, you're going to see that there's 4 receptors here, and we call this our 4-way receiver. And what it does is this is a locking mechanism with a cam lock. And when you put this together, you simply insert the pin, push the button, it goes in, locks in place, and to release it, you push the button to release. Now what's significant about that is that you're not going to have any kind of accidents where the hardware is actually just falling apart because somebody bumped it or nudged it. So from a safety perspective, there's some really neat things there. But what's also really cool is these receivers here are all 16mm holes, which are the same things that you're using today in the audiovisual world for mounting cameras and speakers and such like that with the 16mm spuds. Now what also as part of the system is we have our drape supports. Now our drape supports are also telescoping pieces, and this one here that I'm holding is a 4 to 6 foot. Telescopes out to 6 foot and easily back down to 4 again to kind of accommodate the space that you're working in. Now what you'll also notice that this is covered with Velcro on each side. So we've gone away from a pocketed drape approach and have gone to Velcroing. We find that the labor effort is far less because you're not worried about threading all these drapes with your bars. And then the other good thing is, from a striking perspective, when you're done, you just simply peel it off and it comes right off. Now this is a very sturdy product. You can put this up to 20 feet high and you can still have that amount of drape up and still be able to support that. So that's kind of nice. Also, for this kit in particular, I showed you the 4 to 6 foot piece. This is a 3 to 4. So now, to be able to meet those space needs that you're in, depending on what area you're setting up in and what your actual requirements are, you're able to kind of dial that in to meet the needs of where you're at. And again, this telescopes out to the lengths you want, lock it into place. And then another significant piece is that the connector is 180-degree articulating, so it'll fully articulate up and down. And I'll show you actually why that matters in a little bit. So let's talk about that again as far as how this hardware works. So again, we have the cam lock receiver, locks the spud into place, and then when you want to release it, you just click it to let go. So again, this is how this works. This piece, if you get tight on that, is a groove piece that locks into place. You push in the button, locks in, will not come off. Okay. Let me show you our base plates as well. So on the base plate, we have a laser cut base plate, and what's significant about this is we have the laser cut handle here, so it's easy to grab and retrieve from the cases. And then we have 3 separate anchor points that we set up, one for middle and standard, one for the corner if you're going to put it in a corner place, and then one on the actual edge in case you're running this actual drape along an edge as opposed to a separate end piece. And you'll also notice that these are powder coated black. They come in black, white, and silver. Okay, so to my left here is one of our setups that's already actually up. And so let's talk about this a little bit. The drape you'll see right away, we use what we call MGS, or medium gloss satin, and this is all IFR treated from the factory. So what's great is that if you look at it, the way we have these sewn is that we have all the pleats already sewn into the actual drape itself. So what that does is allow us to, right out of the box, have a consistent level of fullness instead of walking drape by drape, panel by panel, and then fluffing and trying to get that consistent look for our clients. right out of the box, we have a piece that is photo ready and has a great finish. Okay, so we mentioned before that we use a Velcro system, so let's take a look at that real quick. So what I do is when I set it up, I simply thread it across the outside of the bar, and when I want to take it down, the same thing applies, and I just simply pull this down, and now I've actually struck my drape, and I'm ready to move on to my next thing. So again, why is this useful? If we look at this from a front of house perspective, when we have a control booth, we have our control booth up and we start running wires, and historically when you start doing that, everything gets messed up and you have to take the structure down. So with this, you have the structure up, you run your wires, and then simply wrap the fabric around it and you're good to go. So there's a couple other features about this really quick, is that with the way this articulates, it allows me the ability to create shapes, as I mentioned before. So let's think if maybe our structure is running parallel to a staircase. So now I can have a true diagonal that actually goes parallel to that staircase and fits more into the environment as opposed to something that's more jammed in and doesn't really fit quite so well. And again, to be able to bring this back down, I just simply turn the knob, slide it into the desired height, lock it in place, and there we go. So outside of that, the Wentex system has a lot of other features that nobody else has today in pipe and drape. And one of the biggest things that we have is the ability to adapt additional things to our system, such as we have a flex adapter. Now the flex adapter has the same 4-way receiver we have on top of our pipes. And we just take this, and since we do have a square drape support, it allows us a little bit more ability and versatility. So I have the square pipe, I clamp this over the top, lock it into place, and now I have something that can either receive another drape support to create another space, or I can put up a sign or a speaker or a light or a set of lights. And I can use this T-bar, lock it into place in the spud receivers, and now I can put up other features on this as well. And again, that same receiver is the end caps that we're using. So instead of putting up another post or a light pole or what have you, I can just simply take this, clamp it into the system itself here, and now I can add additional features to it as well. Again, something that isn't offered on the other systems out there. Nobody else has that kind of versatility. And then lastly, we found that there's some challenges when we get up to certain heights. So we've talked about our front of house kit, and again, this goes from 4 to 6 feet. And now our back of house kit, it goes from 6 to 10 feet, 6 to 16 feet, and all the way as high as 6 to 20 feet on our larger setups. And now that presents some interesting challenges as far as wind. When you have a large surface like that, a lot of surface area, essentially you're putting up a giant sail. So what we've done is, opposed to putting up a bunch of sandbags at the base, which can be cumbersome and weird, we have the ability to create outriggers. So I have another base plate here that I've set up with another cheese burrow and our 4-way receiver on our adapter piece, and I just simply take this cheese burrow, lock it to the upright itself, and I have a T-handle here, and we like to use these because instead of using a tool, if you use a tool, you have too much torque, you potentially crimp the pipe. So if you can put a hand tight on it using this T-piece, lock it into place, and then I just simply take the other drape support, click it into the receiver, lock it, take the base plate with the other receiver, lock it into place, and now I have an outrigger. So now I have a far larger footprint that's going to allow me a lot more stability than I would normally have had I put sandbags or something else at the bottom of the setup. A lot of companies out there have vast inventories of the existing standard, and we tried to figure out a way to reach out to those people as well. And so what we did is, those mangled tops, the torn up pieces on the existing standard, we figured that if we can give you an adapter piece that can slide up over your uprights that you're using, and we can allow you to use the articulating ends on your drape supports, now we can adapt your system to your existing inventory and then move forward with our system as well. If you have any questions about us, please look us up at www.wentexinc.com, and I'd like to thank you for your time.